We're a hosu of Kilombo Blog, the Ganlodo hosu. Author of the books you see here on Kilombo Restoration and Healing. We want to take a moment to make a quick video about healing. Healing from a different perspective that you may be thinking. Healing from the perspective of accepting the truth. And this particular truth we're talking about mekanmu, which is captivity. Some people may translate that as slavery also. But our people were held in captivity. But we know that. We know that truth very well. But we were having a discussion the other day with someone, and they, we thought, this type of consciousness was had played out, especially with the advent, well, not the advent, but the, with so much technology and information available, that we would think that people wouldn't be so ignorant about certain things. And this ignorance we're talking about is that a lot of people still believe, African people still believe that, as they say, the white man came and snatched up Africans from Mawufe, Africa, snatched them up and carted them off to plantations in the Americas and even Europe. This is absolutely false. The Yovo, so-called white people, they did not have that kind of power. This was a process of negotiation. The oral histories and some written histories from African people in Benin, what is now Benin, Nigeria, Ghana, talk about how this business of selling African people into captivity went. Here's something that a lot of people don't know. Those ships could not get on the coast of West Africa. They had to stop 3 miles out. So that means canoes had to bring them in. Well, guess who supplied the canoes? They're called pirogue, P-I-R-O-G-U-E. The Africans that were employed by these kings and chiefs and whoever took those boats out to meet the ships, meet the Yovo, and bring the Yovo back in, if the Yovo so desired. Well, often they wanted to meet with certain chiefs and kings. Most of the Africans that were put on those ships, they had to be put on there with those canoes made by Africans who were involved in the so-called slave trade. That's point blank. There are many stories in dealing with Benin. They even tell them that on these tours, which we respect the tour guides over there being a little more honest than let's say in Nigeria. When we're talking about Benin and even Ghana, from what we hear. A lot of times the Yovo could not see the king for 3 months. They would make them wait 3 months. That showed you who was in charge. The kings were in charge. The chiefs were in charge. They made them wait there for negotiations so they can pick up captured Africans. A lot of times they made them wait that long because they were trying to gather up enough people to sell, raiding villages, raiding other ethnic groups and whatnot. They may have told the Yovo they had enough people. The Yovo got there and had to wait 3 months until actually several expeditions were carried out to go and capture Africans to sell into captivity. Now, what does this have to do with healing? Oh, and by the way, our ancestors were often sold for third-rate rum, not even second-rate, third-rate rum, third-rate items. a lot of the beads that a lot of people wear in the Orisha tradition, they are slave beads. Those are not the original beads that we wore in our tradition. So a lot of those beads that they say are representing the deities and all that, those are what they call trade beads, slave beads. You know, if you notice, you've never seen us wear those. When we first realized that back in 99, 2000, something like that, we stopped wearing those beads. But what does this have to do with healing? Well, it's like having a broken arm. To properly heal a broken arm, it has to be set. You got to know that you got to acknowledge that your arm is broken. Put it in a cast or splint or whatever for it to heal. If we do not acknowledge the real truth of how we got over here and who's responsible for that, right now they have rituals in Benin. It's called a returning ritual in Ouida, which is a port city where many of our ancestors, including my particular ancestor, Sakbaju, departed from. But they have a returning ritual, you know, which is acknowledging their role in the captivity trade and, you know, welcoming you back. That same place where they have the returning ritual, they used to have the ritual to make the souls forget their homeland, and also so they won't come back and hunt them. There's a tree there, several trees, where they would take the men around it 9 times, woman around it 7 times, and they did all these sacrifices and rituals and whatnot to try to keep the soul from coming back to hunt them. Well, we see that didn't work. If you see the condition of those people's minds and their material condition, you would definitely see that didn't work. And here we are as Vodunvi, practitioners of Vodun and the like. So the spirits came and found us where we were. But so that shows you that they consciously did this. You hear people say, oh, they didn't know what they were doing. They didn't know what they were getting into. And you're doing 3 and 4 day rituals. You know, keeping people in encampments, doing rituals while they're in those prison encampments, then forcing them into rituals, then putting them on those parole canoes that you built, because the water is no higher off the coast of Africa for about 3 miles out, no deeper than like 20 feet for a good ways. A ship can't come in. Ship has to stop. Can't come to the port. Couldn't come to Ouida. So they sent for the Negroes that were in the employ of in this particular case, King of Abomet, the King of Dahomey. They sent for them and they came and got them. And the person that was in charge of this is called the Yovogan. The word Yovogan means chief that deals with the whites. Chief that deals with the Yovo. This is a conscious, well-oiled machine that they were operating. This was no somebody coming and forcing somebody by gun. The gunplay between Africans and Europeans came when the issue of colonialism after the Berlin Conference. That's the 1880s. You know, in the 1400s, they didn't come in there with no gunplay. And most of those cannons you see at those castles there in West Africa, they are pointing towards the sea, not pointing towards anywhere in the interior. They are pointing that way because they were to keep other European powers from encroaching on their, which soon to be, colonial possessions. So no, they didn't use the cannons on the Africans in that manner. Now there were skirmishes sometimes, But those cannons were not for the Africans. Those cannons were for other Europeans. Once again, dispelling that myth about, you know, they came and snatched us up and they put us under the gun and all that. No. The wars with them, like with Dahomey, didn't start to in the 1880s. As with Oyo and all of them, between the Africans and the Yoruba. And that was because the Yoruba was trying to make their strong colonial move. So there you have it. This is part one. We may do another video to clarify some things. We hope that you've learned a lot and go and research. There's a free document online. It's called What Africans Got for Their Slaves. You'll see all the items, European items, that they sold our ancestors into captivity for. There are other documents and other books that are about it. We have to be honest with ourselves. To say that we didn't know what we were doing is to contradict all this stuff about what they didn't know what they were doing. It's to contradict all this stuff about we were so great, African great kings, blah 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 blah. You know, everybody run around and want to be kings and queens and say we descend from kings and queens. Well, kings and queens of no culture, especially during those times, were dumb people. They were not dumb people. They didn't, I didn't know what I was doing. No, they knew exactly what they were doing. They ran the negotiations. They ran those negotiations. The kings of Dahomey, they ran that until colonial powers took over through war. You know, so to say, you know, that you know, we didn't know what was going on and all that, or they didn't know what was going on, that contradicts that whole, you know, we are great people. Look at our great civilization. Look at Ifa divination, how deep that is. Look at it. Look at how deep Ifa divination is. And then reassess your statement about they didn't know what they were doing. You have to have a heck of a mind to have some mastery of Ifa divination system. And so all the kings of Oyo and Ife, major sellers of captive Africans, they were Ifa initiates. They had been trained in Ifa. You know, they knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing. Odigbo.